Chaya is doing this. What's her name?
Kaya.
Kaya. The second, this
And
reading
the first one is Dove.
Dove, and I've got copies if you want, but they're obviously in the book. And you got my, updated copy. It's not very different.
Yep.
Okay, so we're good.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being here. And, if you don't mind, feel free to kind of move in a bit closer, come in the middle. The challenge with this place is sometimes we have services in our Beit Midrash, which holds 40 people and feels very intimate. And this room then is our other option, which holds 150 people. And then if you have 50 folks in here, it feels a little spread out. So you're welcome to come in closer if you like or not. And yeah, I'll get all that. So anyways, thank you for being here. This is one of my favorite services of the year. It's our Pride service because at the end of the day, Kol Ami means all my people. And what that means is that we see all of our people as made in God's image, as being welcome here, and of being proud of who they are and all of the different elements of being who they are. Now, something we used to do is that I would largely lead the Pride service, and then somebody kindly suggested to me, Rabbi, maybe this might be a good service to not be led by a straight dude. So I was like, oh, that's probably a good point. So what we were going to have David Wilson, who is an aspiring cantor himself, to be up here leading alongside us this evening, but David lost his voice. And so Terry and I are going to be leading our service this evening. And Terry's going to be giving us our teaching this evening, but I want to just say how grateful we are to have you all here and how good it is to be here. So what we're going to be using tonight is our Siddur Sha'ar Zahav. In case you don't know this Siddur, it is a phenomenal Siddur. It is an LGBTQ Siddur that was created by Temple Sha'ar Zahav, an LGBTQ synagogue in San Francisco. And actually, we are the largest owners of this Siddur outside of Temple Sha'ar Zahav of anywhere. And so you are welcome to follow along. How this Siddur works is there's a lot of traditional readings in blue here, and then also some of the other interpretations are more gender neutral and stuff in black. So we're going to start off by singing how good it is for us to be together on page 99, and you're welcome. It even says that you can link arms and connect with the person next to you so that we're all connected because we are glad that you're here. So let's join together. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Yai dai 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 dai. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Yai dai 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 dai. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. We're going to turn to page 106 and ask that God create peace on all of you, on all of us, as we enter Shabbat with the singing of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We're going to turn now to page 128. And one of the things that is so great about Shabbat is that Shabbat is a celebration of love, is a celebration of coming together. And we read that it's even supposed to feel like we are going to a wedding, and that we witness God and Shabbat coming together. Now, some people might say, well, wait a second, God and Shabbat coming together, that's not a traditional wedding. That's not a bride and a groom. And we say, no, it's about two things who love each other, that enhance our lives with feelings of love, God and Shabbat, coming together and us getting to celebrate that love. That is what Shabbat is about. That is what love is about. And that is what we're witnessing in this marriage, is two loving things coming together and all of us getting to bask and celebrate in that love. So how about you join in with us, page 128, as we get to be guests at this wedding. We're going to sing the refrain at the top and then verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Right? Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi
Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hamur v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamuchad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha,
Dodi,
Dodi, Lecha, Dodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabela, Lecha, Dodi, Likrat Kala, P'nei Shabbat Nikabela, Likrat Shabbat V'chuvenelcha, Ki mekor haberacha, mehirosh mikedem nisucha,
Sof ma'aseh machshavati la. Lecha, Dodi,
Dodi,
Lecha,
Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela.
5.
Hitoreri, Ki va'oreh kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, Kivod Adonai nifla. Lecha, Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Now we're going to rise and face the entrance to greet Shabbat as our Shabbat bride is joined together with his Shekinah, the female presence of God that we experience on Shabbat.
We v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzahala, Toch emunai am segula, Bo'i chala, Bo'i chala. Lecha,
Dodi,
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela.
you may be seated. I'd love to invite Dov DeLay to come up here and lead us in a reading on the bottom of page 137.
You want it in big letters?
I love it in big letters. Thanks, Owen. We get the bigger letters. God acts within every moment and creates the world with each breath. He speaks from the center of the universe in the silence beyond all thought. Mightier than the crash of a thunderstorm, mightier than the roar of the sea, is God's voice silently speaking in the depths of the listening heart.
Thank you, Dov. This time we're going to light our candles. Going to pick on a couple friends. Steve, Shelley, would the two of you like to come up and light our candles? If you don't mind me putting you on the spot. Stephen and Shelley are not only great friends of mine, but have been so involved in the LGBTQ community as allies and as parents to a queer child, and have been huge leaders in our community, helping organize the Pride Seder and all that. I'd be honored if you all, you've lit such a light for us in terms of being inclusive, if
Queer
you
child,
light the candles.
also queer, marriage, and baby.
Your son who's in a the same-sex marriage
Yes,
and
has a baby.
just welcomed in a baby this past year.
Mazel
Love
tov.
that. That is the best. Mazel tov. Shelley never mentions an opportunity to slip the grandchildren in there. So go ahead, if you wouldn't mind, lighting our candles for us, and then we will all join in together in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you so much. And thanks for all you do to enhance our community, to make it a more loving community. We're on page 139 for the Hatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach tirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizmahan kahariv v'imeru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam le'omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma ve'imeru amen. We're going to rise in body or spirit for our call to worship, the Baruch Hu, on page 144. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorah Baruch Adonai Hamevorah Hamevorah Le'olam va'ed Hamevorah Hamevorah Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We turn to page 149, and as we welcome in our evening, I would like to invite up Kaya Plotkin to lead us in a reading.
Oh, you got it. There are. So she's doing the one at the bottom. Oh, at the top.
Top of 149. Go ahead, Kaya.
As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never fully be labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight.
Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. Thank you, Kaya. We turn to page 151 for a prayer about how God loves every single one of us and how much love God has for the Jewish people as well. 151.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shachbeinu u'v'kumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki heim hayinu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla yomam v'layla Avrecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. 156. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha avaderech u'kshokbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtatavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem ekol mitzvotai v'isem kedoshim lelohehem Ahani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Something that a lot of folks ask about is, did the story of the Exodus actually ever take place? I mean, what we read about in the Torah is that 600,000 men of fighting age, so we can extrapolate that and assume that over 1 million people left Egypt. And yet we don't really find any archaeological evidence of this or records from the Egyptians who took pretty good records to support that this actually happened. So some people ask me, what if the Exodus never actually happened? Well, switching gears for a moment, one of my gay friends told me that to really know somebody, he asked me once, he said, Sam, you and I have known each other a long time. You've never asked me my coming out story. I said, well, just figured that was kind of personal. Maybe I shouldn't ask. He said, no, you should ask because you can't really know a queer person until you know their coming out story. And so ever since then, something I've often asked queer friends, can you tell me, if you feel comfortable, your coming out story? I want to get to know you better. And so, you don't have to tell me your story right now. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on the spot. But if you feel comfortable sharing, just by a show of hands, who here has ever had the experience of coming out to family, to friends? Okay, a lot of hands going up. Now, let me ask you, in anticipation of that moment, who found that to be really scary before you came out? Okay, I'm seeing almost all the same number of hands going up. A few people not. Who thought to themselves, maybe I shouldn't come out because maybe, you know what? I have the acceptance of my family and friends right now. Maybe it'd be better if I just stayed quiet and didn't share this part of myself and kind of stay in the closet. Anybody have those feelings? A few hands also? Yeah. And let me ask also a really difficult question. Who then courageously came out and right after you did, it was actually way worse than beforehand and you were like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe that was a bad move. Yeah, a few more hands too. Guess what? The Exodus from Egypt happened. You experienced it. The people of Israel were saying, maybe I should stay in bondage. Maybe I should stay in a situation in Egypt where I can't be myself. But at least I know where my next meal is coming from. At least I have a roof over my head. At least I know it won't be worse than it currently is. Maybe I should just stay in Egypt. And then they had this moment where they said, you know what? No, I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be free. And they went for it and left Egypt. And where did they find themselves? Bamidbar, in the wilderness. And it was way worse. Way worse. There was no food. There was no shelter. There were warring tribes that attacked them. And there were moments where they said, maybe I should have just stayed in Egypt. And then they got to their promised land. And it was worth it. So for each of us, as we sing the Mi Hamocha, and as we prepare to learn a bit more about the Torah and coming out from our friend Terry and finding pride in who we are, we can hope that one day everybody, whether they're currently in the closet or right out or in their Egypt or in their wilderness, can find their place of happiness. The Mi Hamocha is on page 162. Sorry, I'm not as familiar with this book. 162. Let's sing together.
You pick a tune.
Mi Hamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Hamocha nehegor b'kodesh, Norah tehilot osef eleh, Norah tehilot osef eleh, Malchutecha ra'u vanecha,
Bohokei Yam Lifnei Moshe Miriam. Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai Yimlo, Le'olam va'ed, Adonai Yimlo, Le'olam va'ed. We turn to page 168 for our Hashkivenu, the song, our prayer that asks God to watch over each of us as we go to sleep and as we wake up tomorrow morning. And I, in particular, on this Pride Shabbat, want us to hold all of our queer friends and siblings in our hearts, because a lot of those folks, school can be scary the next day, or maybe they found themselves in a home that they weren't accepted by their family and now find themselves without a home. And we often know that violence against queer people and homelessness among queer people is at a higher percentage than non-queer folks. And so, in particular, while this prayer is for everyone who could use a bit of peace and shelter in their lives, I want us to hold them close in our hearts. So we are going to we're going to do the first few lines in Hebrew and then jump to where it says Ushmor Tzeitenu, about 2/3 of the way down the page. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim. Ushmor Tzeitenu Uvoheinu Lechaim Shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Page 171, we learned that as long as the Jewish people have kept Shabbat, it's Shabbat that's kept the Jewish people. And every week we talk about Vishamru B'nei Yisrael, which literally means the sons of Israel or the children of Israel. But we can do this week, this book gives us a lot of different options. How about we jump to that very bottom verse that says Vishamru Kalal Yisrael, and do that instead this week. Be a bit more gender neutral, which means all of the communities, all the people of Israel. Page 171. Vishamru Kalal Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru Kalal Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein Kalal Yisrael, Kalal Yisrael, Kalal Yisrael. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam berit olam. Let me see. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz vishamru Kalal Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו כלל ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. I'll invite you to rise in body or spirit. We are on page 235 for the Amidah. And just so you know, with this Siddur, something it does a little differently is in a very traditional Siddur, you will only have the Avot, the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob listed. In more progressive Siddurim, we have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then the mothers, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. This one mentions the mothers first, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and then the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So watch for that on the following page. Adonai sefatai tifta uhufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot V'ima'ot, Umevi Gila Livnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atah Rav Leoshia, Morid Hatah, Mechalkel Hayim Be'esed, Mechaye Metim Be'rachamim Rabbi, Somech Noflim Verofe Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Mihamoha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidomehela, Melech Mimi Umehayeh, Umatzmiar Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Hayot HaMetim, Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMetim. Let's see, then we turn to, we're going to continue silently on our own on page 242 through page 252. Or you can use this as an opportunity to read some of the readings in this Siddur, or have a moment for your own private prayer and reflection. When you are finished at your discretion, you may be seated. Yehi Leratzon Imrefi Vehegyahon Libi Lefanecha Yehi Leratzon Imrefi Vehegyahon Libi Lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri Vegoali Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my God, my rock, and my Redeemer. At this time, we are going to turn to page 468 and turn our thoughts to everybody who, let me see, is in need. Actually, we'll do, let me see, where's the Debbie Friedman one?
Bottom
Bottom
of
of-
468.
Is it on the bottom 468? Oh, there it is. It's just in the transliteration. But how about maybe I'll call an audible here, and we can also read a queer Mishaberach as well. So how about we do that, and then we will share the names of those in our community who are in need of a prayer for healing of the mind, body, and spirit, and those in a period of recovery as well. And then we'll sing on the bottom of 468 the Mishaberach. So feel free to join in with me. In community with our queer ancestors, most of whose names are lost to us, forgotten, or even deliberately obliterated, may we be blessed and healed in free and open ways, not always granted to those who went before us. May we come to know a time of complete healing, and may we share this healing with all the world, in the name of all who have been forgotten, as a blessing for all queer folk who are here, and for all those who are yet to come. And now let us say, Amen. This week we think of these members of our community and their loved ones who could use a prayer for healing. Gita Leah bat Mashachana, Harav Yehuda Leib ben Dina, Myron Yisrael ben Rachel, Daniel Meir ben Chaya Etia, Baruch ben Sarah, Ikafega bat Gittel, Gila Chaya bat Mordechai Leib v'Gila Leah, Tova Chava bat Chaya Rochel, Leora bat Oded v'Rachel, Ifat Chayut bat Tova, Chaya Liba bat Miriam v'Hershel, Rivka bat Fladel u'Baruch, Sarah Bell, David Dowsett, Angela Eno, good to see you, Fran Lappin, Tanner Light, Megan Magleby, Penny Spector, Adina Stern, Nancy Strayanik, Paul Sherrill, and also, let me see, Michael Winston, Sam Winkler, and Judy Wolf. And if you have a name to add when I look in your direction, feel free to share with our community.
Kent Hatch.
Tracy. Cody. Thank you. Gary Spector, Lauren Goffin. And if you are watching on our live stream and have a name to share as well, I'll invite you to do so. Let's join together at the bottom of 468.
Misheberach Avotenu Mikor Habraha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor Avraham leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And that melody, and also the one that we did for Micha Mocha were composed by Debbie Friedman, who was a wonderful queer Jewish woman and song leader as well, and a composer. So with that, Terry, I would love to invite you to share with us a teaching for this Pride Shabbat.
Thank you, Rabbi. So, this week's Torah portion is Bamidbar, in the desert. 13 months have passed since the Jews left Egypt. The Parshat opens with God's instructing Moses to conduct a census of the Israelites by individual and by clan. It is to include every male over the age of 20 who is able to bear arms. Women and children were not counted. The portion then goes on to describe God's instructions as to how the 12 tribes should be configured at each encampment. One contemporary rabbi has described Bamidbar as, quote, one of the most boring texts in the Torah. And on the surface, this portion may seem relatively uneventful, but I want to suggest that beneath the, excuse the pun, arid surface of Bamidbar are important lessons that have particular resonance for queer people in the queer community. I want to focus on two. First, the idea of the Jews coming out of Egypt and wandering in the desert rather than taking a direct route to the promised land. And second, the importance of the issue of recognition that underlies census taking. So first, coming out of Egypt and wandering in the desert. We learned in Exodus that about the Jewish people coming out of Egypt, coming out of their bondage. The parallel between the Jews coming out of Egypt and the journey of a queer person coming out of the closet could not be more direct. There is an internet meme that if you ask Google Maps for directions from Egypt to Israel, it suggests that it would take roughly 6 days if one walks constantly on a direct path. In fact, the Torah tells us that it took the Jewish people 40 years of wandering to get to the promised land. Why? Well, we learn that because of their doubting their trust in God and his promises, the Lord ordered the Jews to wander in the wilderness for 40 years, during which time the generation of individuals who doubted God, basically all of those counted in the census, would die off and not enter the promised land. There is an important lesson for queer people to be learned from Bamidbar. When we first come out of the closet, our bondage, we might imagine that the act of affirming our queerness is a one-step announcement, and that we can then get on with our lives as contented LGBTQ people. But we soon learn that, though it may not take 40 years, coming out is in fact a wandering road of self-discovery with many challenges along the way. The act of coming out, first to ourselves and then to our community, is but a first step down this road. We come to understand what it means to be a queer person only over time as we slowly assume the mantle of our identities. And the bumpiness of the road is highly influenced by how our community comes to accept our true selves. And this leads to the second theme, the importance of recognition. The Parshat illustrates the importance of both self-recognition and recognition by one's community. The census in Bamidbar can be read as a metaphor for the acknowledgement of individual identities and an acceptance of those diverse identities into the broader fabric of the nation. First, self-recognition. A census satisfies a basic human need for being counted and recognized for who one truly is. A census recognizes both the uniqueness of every person and at the same time, the equality of every person as part of the larger community. Self-recognition is critical to accepting ourselves for our queer identities. Of course, the failure of the census in Bamidbar to recognize women and children has spawned an entire literature of feminist commentary on this Torah portion. Secondly, recognition by one's community. Self-recognition is only half of the story. One's sense of self-identity is intricately interwoven with our community's recognition of that identity, whether the community be our immediate family, friends, or the greater society. History is replete with instances of a person's coming out to family or friends only to be shunned for being queer. Fortunately, there are also many instances where queer people are embraced and loved by those around them. Such support makes the wandering out of the bondage of the closet much easier for an individual, and the attitudes of the broader community directly impact a person's self-acceptance as queer. Thus, recognition is mutual. It's a constant interplay between finding our personal identities and finding our places and being recognized by the larger community. By conducting an annual Pride Shabbat, our synagogue affirms the importance of recognizing each of our unique queer identities and at the same time recognizing LGBTQ individuals as a critical part of the larger Jewish community. So stay proud. Shabbat Shalom.
Terry, thank you for that beautiful and inspiring, uplifting teaching of being proud who you are and made in God's image. I love that. Something we've been doing since October 7th is offering a prayer for the state of Israel and also a prayer for peace. And this book actually beautifully combines those. But before we do, I want to tell you, so I was, as many of you know, I was in Israel the first week of November, so less than a month after October 7th, and about the second week into the war when it was pretty intense. And I got to hear so many inspiring stories. And one of the stories I heard was of a captain, a reserve captain, Army Reserves, named Sagi Golan. Sagi was going to be married to his longtime fiancée a week later. And he woke up on the morning of October 7th and heard what was happening. And he turned over, gave his fiancée a kiss, and grabbed his gun and ran out the door and drove to Kibbutz Be'eri to fight the Hamas terrorists and to defend his country. And sadly, he was killed that day. And again, only a week until his wedding. And when the army notified his family that he had been killed, his fiance happened to be a man. Sagi was gay and openly proud of being gay, openly served in the Israeli military. And died a hero for his country and for our people. And his fiance said, well, what are the benefits I get for losing my fiance? And they said, well, you guys weren't married yet. His wedding was a week away. And he looked and they said, well, according to the law in Israel, your fiance, even if you're not married yet, if you are engaged, your fiance gets death benefits if you're killed in war. And they looked, and according to the law in Israel and how it was written at the time, it was only that your opposite sex fiance gets those benefits, and that Sagi's fiance was not going to get those benefits. And so Sagi's fiance took his story to the news. And my understanding is, right now we have the most extreme right-wing, probably anti-LGBT government in Israel's history. And from what my understanding is that upon hearing this story, the entire government unanimously agreed to change the law to give same-sex fiancés and partners the death benefits of their loved one who died fighting for the state of Israel, and retroactively applied that to Sagi Golan's fiance. And so that's just an example with this very tough time that we're in right now of how we see LGBTQ Israelis being heroes and standing up and making a difference. And how even in death, Sagi Golan of blessed memory was able to create change for the better to make the Jewish state a holier and better place. And so I just wanted to share his story on this Pride Shabbat and how lucky we are to have had Sagi Golan among our people. And so I'd like to invite you to turn to page 46, and we're going to read Prayer for Israel, number 2. Give you a second to get there. By the way, also what that did too is, I think for a lot of people in Israel, they saw LGBTQ people differently after that. And you saw in opinion polls a lot more support for queer people in Israel. It was really amazing. Anyways. Holy One, remember the covenants you made with Noah, with Abraham, and with Hagar, and cause your rainbow of peace to spread over the Holy Land. May all the children of Abraham come to learn how to live in the land in peace. May Israel once again be the land of milk and honey to all who dwell there. And let us say, Amen. Thank you. Terry, thank you so much for all the hard work you've put in helping me create this service. And also shout out to David Wilson back there, who was supposed to be up here today, but conveniently chose during Pride Month to lose his voice. But we still put a lot of work in to making this day. David, it's great to see you and your husband Cody here. We appreciate you both so much. Also, shout out to the Salt Lake City Police Department being here, keeping us safe, and Galit Livney, our program coordinator, who's here this evening, as is Tracy Plotkin, our religious school administrative assistant over there. Thank you, Tracy, for your hard work. And also, I want to give a shout out to my friend over here, Councilwoman Sarah Young, who is the District 7, correct? District 7 City Council member for the great city of Salt Lake City, Utah, representing our synagogue in the Salt Lake City Council, and shows up so often to be a tremendous ally for the Jewish community, but also tonight is here as an ally for the queer community as well. We're grateful for your leadership, Council Member Young, and please say hi to her. She's at some point. She's a amazing human being who is always there for us, and I know loves to get to know her constituents and hear from them. So we're grateful for your leadership. And also speaking of leadership, I want to give a shout out to Dove DeLay, who's on our board, who I think with Beth is back in the kitchen preparing dinner for this evening, and Tessa Vashel, who's also a board member, who's here this evening. Tessa, would you like to make some announcements on behalf of our board? You look very prideful tonight. I love it. On what's going on in our community.
Let's find out. Terry, Yasher Koach, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And since I've got a microphone, Rabbi, I'm going to take a moment of privilege.
Go for it. Got the open mic.
You asked us who had been scared to come out and who had maybe felt like running straight back into the closet. And you may have seen me like waving my hand enthusiastically, because I definitely did. But the other question is, who here is really glad that they came out?
Love that. Great question.
So, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And happy Pride. And thank you, Rabbi Spector and Terry, for leading us tonight. So tonight for dinner, you can join us even if you didn't register. So please, everybody who is here, come and join us for a delicious dinner. It's going to be wonderful. It is in the social hall right when the service concludes. And thank you so much to our board member, Dove DeLay, for cooking the meal tonight. Our membership renewal statements have been mailed. You should have gotten them. So please complete your member payment agreement and submit a 25% payment by June 19th to receive your dues discount and your high holiday tickets. And we also have payment plans and the ability to pay monthly. So go ahead and get that taken care of sooner than later.
If you're not a member, come talk to us about membership, and we can, I'll make sure we get you that 5% discount if you sign up by June 19th, too.
Rabbi knows a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a guy.
Our new Kol Ami Queer Jewish Book Club is going to meet on Zoom on June 23rd. And the first book we're going to be discussing is Becoming Eve, My Journey from Ultra-Orthodox Rabbi to Transgender Woman by Abby Stein. Please join us tomorrow morning for our services, and immediately after there will be a special Kiddush sponsored by the past presidents of Kol Ami. Then Shavuot is this Tuesday evening. It's June 11th through Thursday, June 13th. And this year we are going to be welcoming a scholar in residence, Rabbi Devorah Weisberg, PhD. We are going to be having an Erev Shavuot dinner on the 11th, followed by our Tikkun Leil Shavuot with a keynote from the Seder to Sinai with Rabbi Weisberg, followed by an Erev Shavuot service and study sessions with Rabbi Spector and Cantor Davis. On the 12th, following our morning service, join Rabbi Weisberg for a lunch and learn on the origins of formal Jewish education, a Talmudic account, and that evening, Rabbi Weisberg is going to be teaching us again. She will join our Rosh Chodesh women's group for Women Speak to God, the Prayers of Biblical Women. So please come out and study. It is a wonderful opportunity to learn from a visiting scholar. Next weekend, please join us. We will be celebrating Eden Calais and Ty Treelor both becoming B'nai Mitzvah. Eden service will take place at 9:30 a.m. and Ty will be having a Minchas service at 2:30 p.m. All are welcome to both. Registration for our summer camping Shabbaton is now open. So join us for Shabbat under the stars, camping, community, and fun for all ages, and of course, lots of s'mores. This is going to be up at Strawberry Reservoir, and it's going to be such a fun activity. This event is going to sell out, so please do sign up early, and we have early bird pricing now through the 19th. Our next Jewish Heritage Tour with Rabbi Spector is going to head to Warsaw, Lublin, Krakow, Slovakia, and Budapest in May of 2025. So if you are interested in joining that educational group, you can learn more and you can view the full itinerary on our website.
And there'll be an info session June 25th at 6:30.
Rabbi Spector's trips are famous. You will learn, you will have a good time, so you should definitely go and find out more about it.
And this is going to be the bougiest thing I say all night, I'm sorry, but my favorite chocolate shop in all of Europe is in Budapest. Come join, sorry, I realize how privileged I sound when I say that, but come join me and I will take you there.
The best chocolate shop in all of Europe, and some Jewish heritage.
Yeah.
So please do join us for dinner tonight, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Happy Pride and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Tessa. Appreciate you and all your leadership. Thrilled to have you here. We are going to move into the concluding part of our service with Aleinu on page 482. Aleinu is a prayer all about how God gave us the Torah and chose to give us the Torah in that special relationship. And what we learned in our tradition is that every single Jewish person, past, present, future, was there when we received the revelation of Torah, which means also that every queer Jewish person was there as well to receive that wonderful gift and to add their gifts to our understanding of it. We're on page 42. Terry, I see that your family is here this evening. I'd love to invite them up to open our ark for us. Any of Terry's family, come on up. So, come on up. Good to see you all. We are on page 482. Got kids, grandkids, spouse here. Love that. And I'll invite you to rise in body or spirit as the ark is open. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'tekidu l'yotzer breshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzu v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam helkeinu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam Va'anachnu korim umishtahavim umodim livnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al ushinatu zo Ushinatu zo v'govhe meromim U Eloheinu einod Emet malkeinu efezulato Kakatu v'torato V'datayom v'hashivota Elevaveha Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim Bashahamayim Imahal Ve'al haaretz Mitachat Einod. Let me close the ark. And as we do, we'll read silently, and I'll add a queer Aleinu prayer. Let us praise the ruler of the universe and adore the creator of the world, who did not make us like other nations, who created us different from other people and set us on a separate path towards a special destiny. Sometimes we may feel excluded because we are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer identified, or straight, Jewish or not Jewish, female or male, old or young, or disabled. We conceal the unique attributes with which we are created in God's image. May God strengthen our inner resolve to honor and fulfill our unique purpose, to live out God's wonderful, unknowable design, in which we each one of us is a vital participant. Therefore, we bow in reverence before the Supreme Ruler, the Holy One, who is blessed. Kakatuv b'toratecha Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol ha'aretz v'yom ha'hu Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo. Thank you. You may be seated. Page 491. Oh God, remember today those members of our family who were martyred in years past because of their sexual or gender identity, those murdered by fanatics in the Middle Ages, those who perished in the Holocaust, and those struck down in our own cities and in our own time. Remember also those who took their own lives, driven to despair by a world that hated them. And in mercy remember those who lived lives of loneliness, repressing their true nature and refraining from sharing their love with one another. O God, watch over the souls of these beloved ones, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and help us bring an end to hate and oppression of every kind. This time we think of those whom death has recently taken from us and those who've died in this season in years past, and those who we draw into our hearts with our own as we remember them. This week we commemorate, we think of all those who in the past 30 days have lost their lives as a result of terror or in defense of the state of Israel. And if you hear the name of a loved one, you're invited to rise upon hearing their name. And this week we commemorate the following yahrzeits anniversary of the passing of these loved ones: Harry Albert, William Arnovich, Esther Lena Bank, Hilda Bettman, Ruth Campbell, Sadie Chesler, Yetta Doctorman, Lulu Dyer, Morris Field, Rebecca Gerson, Harry Glick, Myron Goffin, Jack Goodman, Samuel Greenhut, Fred Hertz, Ellen Cronenberg, Evelyn Leslie, Charlotte Levy, Esther Medaway, Paul Natick, Anna Mayston Palmer, Zelmanova Roisengert, Harry Schur, Betty F. Schroeder, Nathan Silverman, Dorothy Sparks, Roberta Sperry, Harry Spiegel, Fred J. Strauss, Frida Tassam, Marvin Walter Tassam, Miriam Goldstein Orr, Bobby Walker, Bernard Winesoft, Israel Zlotnick, and Raya Zussman. And if you have a name to add, I'll invite you to rise and share with our community when I look in your direction. If you're watching on our live stream, you're also invited to share. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you are in mourning or it's your tradition to do so, you're welcome to rise. We're on page 492. Yitkadal v'yikadash shnei rabah ve'alma divrachir te v'imlich malchute v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'hayed hol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'yisman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabah mevarach le'alam omei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitruman v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah rehu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'ne'emata ta'am yiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O say shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. A source of peace and peace to all who are mourning. Comfort any bereaved among us, can we say? Amen. Now, David, did you go all the way home and grab your ukulele? Wow, David showed up and said, I can play my ukulele. And I said, great, where's your ukulele? He said, oh, I left it at home. I was like, well, then you can't play. He said, well, I'll go home and grab it and bring it back. So even though David is without a voice at the moment, he has his ukulele, and he has Cody. Cody, where are you up to? What are you doing in this moment?
I'm just going to cue us all in. We're going to
You're
join
going-
in together,
You're going to lead us.
I'll be the voice
You will be-
of inspiration for you.
Love it. You always have a voice of inspiration. And so you have a sheet for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That is the song that we are going to be singing this evening. I think it was written by a Jewish person. Am I right on that? Let's just say for the sake of it that I am for tonight. And sure, why not? And probably. And beautiful song about about acceptance, and that has become a wonderful song for people to feel seen. So, David and Cody, would you please lead us in our concluding song this evening? Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the mountains are behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Appreciate it. And Yashkoa. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. By the way, I forgot to mention, we have a group of chaplain students visiting us. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. Chaplains are great people who really help bring, I have a lot of respect for doctors and nurses who do a great job always treating the things that make us sick. I've learned that chaplains are really there to treat our spirits and soul and their patients, so appreciate the work that you all do. Welcome this evening. And if you're new here at Colamy, come say hi to some of us and make a friend, and please don't let this be the last time you're here. So how about we join together? I'll invite you to rise and body your spirit for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishi ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh zecher l'tziai mitzrayim kivanu v'harta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashavai l'chaim. And we have here, made by our friend Moshe Best Challah in town, and not just any challah. It looks like we have a special multicolored pride challah here. So, a rainbow challah. I love it. Let's challah. All right, let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avel. Shabbat shalom. Happy Pride. Join us for dinner. There. Thanks, Dove.